Today I'll be talking about pulsus paradoxus and the pathophysiology of it. So, pulsus paradoxus basically means that there is a difference of more than or equal to 10 millimeters of mercury between the systolic blood pressure, which is measured during inspiration, and that measured during expiration. So, according to the normal physiological processes, the systolic blood pressure during inspiration will actually fall lower than the normal by about 10 millimeters of mercury. And the reason for that, there are two reasons for that. The first reason being that during inspiration, the intrathoracic pressure will fall, so that will cause increased pooling of blood within the pulmonary vasculature. Okay, and why is there increased pooling of blood in the pulmonary vasculature? That is mainly due to during inspiration, the lung parenchyma will expand. When the lung parenchyma will expand, we already know that the pulmonary vessels are in direct connection with the pulmonary parenchyma. So, as the lung stretches, the pulmonary vessels will stretch. Once that happens, the pulmonary vessel capacitance will increase and there will be a pooling of blood. If there's a pooling of blood in the pulmonary vessels, the pulmonary venous blood flow to the left ventricle will reduce, and since we know that the left ventricular output is the one which is the major cause of the systolic blood pressure, and so therefore the systolic blood pressure during inspiration will reduce. The second reason that during inspiration, what happens is that the right ventricle, the right ventricular filling will increase. Once the right atrium and right ventricular filling will increase, the septum, especially the interatrial septum, will bulge towards the left side. So, left atrial capacity of filling is reduced, left atrium, left ventricular capacity is reduced, the left ventricular output, that is the systolic blood pressure, again falls. So, that was the normal mechanism for a fall in the systolic blood pressure between the inspiratory and the expiratory phases, and that is what is called as a pulsus paradoxus. Okay? And now we'll talk about the pathological conditions. So they can be divided into cardiac and non-cardiac causes. So cardiac, it's simple. If you have a cardiac tamponade or if you have a cardiomyopathy, especially. Okay. So what will happen? That will reduce the space available for the left-sided filling and consequently the left-sided ejection. So the systolic blood pressure will fall. So that was for the cardiac filling. Cardiac causes. Talking about the non-cardiac causes, we have asthma, COPD, etc. What's the main cause for that? Well, in asthma, there are two things which happen. One is there is a hyperinflation of lungs. What causes the hyperinflation of lungs? Well, in asthma, it's an obstructive pulmonary disorder. So, if there's an obstruction, so incomplete emptying of air from the lungs, the alveoli will remain extended, they'll remain inflated. So, as the alveoli remain inflated, the lung will hyperinflate. And the second thing, in asthma, there's going to be something called as pulmonary hypertension which occurs. Pulmonary hypertension. Why does pulmonary hypertension occur? Again, the lung parenchyma is affected in asthma, so naturally the pulmonary vasculature is affected. So now because of these two things, because of pulmonary hypertension, what will happen? Again, the right ventricle has to generate more pressures to pump the blood from the right side of the heart into the lungs. So therefore, right ventricle and the right ventricle will hypertrophy, septal shift towards the left, and obviously you'll have lowered left-sided filling. Similarly, hyperinflation of lungs, what it does is, it will provide less space for the left side of the heart to fill and consequently eject blood. So all these reasons combined, results in exacerbation of pulsus paradoxus more than the normal physiological limits of 10 millimeters of mercury. So that was all. Thank you.